Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Women and Youth Members Empower Excellence Committee's Friday Symposium for the Youth. This is the fourth session of this symposium, and we are very excited to have you all and have the session addressed by two young and dynamic speakers, Ma'am Saili Chemburkar and Parv Sir. Saili will be taking up the topic of career in transfer pricing, and Parv will be taking up the topic of career in business finance. So basically, the motto and the mandate of this committee is to organize various programs on for the development and excellence of our women members. And from this year onwards, we have even added youth members as well to the mandate of the committee. And under the under the presidentship of CA Aniket Talati and our vice president and the chairperson of this committee, CA Preeti Savla, and vice chairperson, CA Abhay Chhajed, we have taken up an excellent series here. As you must be aware, already a women's symposium is taking place on a weekly basis on every Friday. This is again a series on the similar lines, which is taken up every Friday. It is the vision of our chairperson, Preeti ma'am, and we are all very excited to have you all a part of this. And to kickstart the proceedings, I would like to invite Kintan Maru to introduce our first speaker for the day, Saili Chemburkar.
Thank you very much, Deep. It is a great opportunity to introduce Saili Chemburkar. Saili is a chartered accountant and has over 8 years of experience. She has worked with PwC in the transfer pricing role. Currently, she is Associate Director at Transaction Square LLP. She has hands-on expertise in handling complex assignments in the areas of APAs, mutual agreement procedures, global core documentation, transfer pricing litigation, and many other compliance and documentation issues. Over the years, she has worked on various multinational and Indian listed and listed clients across various sectors, including pharma, tech, chemical, and manufacturing sector. Right? So with this, her plethora of experience will help us to enlighten how do we elevate our business opportunity in this complex area of transfer pricing. With this, I ask Saili to take over this unique session and wish her the best for this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kintan. I think this program is really helpful for everyone who wants to understand as to what to do after their CA or to choose their career path. So today I would be taking up transfer pricing as a career. Let me just share my screen. So transfer pricing as a subject has been really very close to my heart. When I've joined transfer pricing in 2012, this field was limited to documentation and compliance and something that the tax authorities want. But eventually, as we grew, as the trade relations grew, this profession went on from a mere compliance to now one of the closest to the business and the supply chain. Now people are really trying to equate their business operations with the transfer pricing laws, and the compliance has been really important. So I'm really happy to be sharing my experience of what is transfer pricing and what does TP have to offer to everyone. Let us first understand what is the concept of transfer pricing. So transfer pricing is a process of setting the price for goods and services in a cross-border transaction between related entities. So what is the concept? If you have a company A, which is in China, a company B and a company C in different jurisdictions, but they have a common holding in company A. So for the transactions between company B and company C, whatever profit has been retained, whatever pricing is done, doesn't really matter to the group as a whole, because ultimately the profits are going to be consolidated in company A and they are going to report one single system profit. But where it matters is from a tax perspective. The tax rates in both the jurisdictions will be different. And hence it is important that we ensure that the pricing of related party, irrespective of the fact that they are related, should be at what we call arm's length. What is an arm's length principle? We have to ensure that just because they are related, the pricing is not really dominated by tax issues. We shouldn't be keeping lesser profits in high tax jurisdictions just because company A can influence the price. So from a tax perspective, the pricing between intercompany transactions really matters. And that is the concept of transfer pricing. It says that the pricing between related parties should be equal to what it would be with third parties. What does transfer pricing really try to achieve? So if we see the globe as a whole, there are large differences in the tax rate between various countries. And if that is not checked, then it can really lead to shifting of profits from the higher tax jurisdictions to the lower tax. It is very easy for company A in our example to keep higher profits in the lower tax jurisdiction. But the concept is that the profits should be taxed at the place where the value is actually created. So for example, if in our example, company B is the manufacturer who is conducting majority of the activities and company C is merely a distributor, then the profit should be adequately kept at company B irrespective of the tax rate. So the decision making of profit should not really be defined as per the tax rates. Why it is important? Because if this is caught by the tax authorities and if the tax authorities believe that your pricing is influenced by the tax rate, then there may be questions raised. And you will understand it is not just a question for 1 year. That is your commercial arrangement. So it's going to be a question covering multiple financial years, which can lead to much cost at a company level. And transfer pricing disputes being a global issue and being a two-country related dispute really takes a lot from the company. It can be in terms of reputation or cost. So once we've understood what is transfer pricing, what is the role of people for us when we practice transfer pricing? What do we actually do? If we were to take a decision to be made by the company to start a subsidiary or to start any transaction with subsidiary. So the foremost thing is to establish a transfer pricing strategy. At this stage, the company actually decides a general approach to transfer pricing. It will understand how are the functions, assets, and risk of two entities in the transaction placed. What is the model that it can apply? And generally, we as TP professionals will be a part of this discussion to understand what employees are going to perform the function, what is the asset base that will go to it. At the next stage, once we have determined this, we are at the price setting and internal documentation process. Now that we know that we have this particular transaction to be benchmarked or to be decided for pricing, we will be determining the transfer prices for this transaction. We will be responsible to suggest the correct price. So price making opportunity when we talk about a transaction is very, very important for transfer pricing. And this involves a lot of work. How do you set a price? What is the comparable that you take? How do you really evaluate where the company is operating? So this is one of the most important stages for setting a correct price in a transaction. And this is the first stage where the transfer pricing bit actually starts. Once the prices are set and once the internal documentation is made, then there is a monitoring process. We have to check, we have to keep a regular check, if not monthly, quarterly, or half yearly, whether the businesses are following the transfer pricing policies. And are the policies within the range that has been suggested, within the range that has been acceptable? Has the range changed? That is also very, very important. Suppose you would have set a price based on a particular range or based on a particular comparison, but has that comparison changed? Has your role changed? That is very, very essential. Once you've monitored it during the year, there can be a step at the year end where you need to do adjustments. For example, if you have determined the prices based on budget, then year end and closing is the time when you actually decide whether you're really, for a year as a whole, falling in the arm's length scenario, and whether there needs to be any adjustment before the books are closed. Then the step is the documentation process, which is to be done year on year, for which there is specific jurisdictional regulations. For India, you need to do it yearly. You need to have a transfer pricing documentation report. There is a form which is to be filed with the Indian tax authorities. For every company, be it India or overseas, the company has to prepare, maintain, and submit transfer pricing documentation. The submission can be mandatory or as and when required. There are often times when this documentation is not really given importance and it is taken as a routine task. But with the evolution in the global laws, with the evolution in the tax scenario around the world, it is very, very essential that this documentation is done with extreme care and it presents the facts of the transaction. The last step is the audit and dispute resolution. How do we help in this is, suppose if a notice is issued by the tax authority, it is our work to determine, to defend the position that we have taken for the company. This is a very, very important process. And that's why the documentation is essential, because the base for the tax authorities to determine the audit and to make an adjustment is your documentation. Now that we've seen what role do we have to perform in transfer pricing, we'll also have a look of what does transfer pricing have to offer to us. What is it that will interest us in transfer pricing career? The most important thing is that transfer pricing is a global phenomenon. It is a part of international transaction. It deals with interplay between multiple jurisdictions. And therefore, when you do this, it will give you a global perspective of how the entire globe is functioning, their tax laws, and various other trade understanding. One more important thing is that these are worldwide principles. There is nothing like something which is at arm's length in one country will not be at arm's length at other, or the basic concept of transfer pricing will never change. It is accepted globally. So if you're doing transfer pricing in India, you can really do transfer pricing in the US or the UK. So your career is really transferable between tax jurisdictions, which will also give you a wider scope to treat the world as your career platform. There is increasing importance of transfer pricing in these days. You must have heard in general about international tax evolution in terms of your tax certainty, the minimum tax rates, the evolution of MLIs, and a host of other things. So these days, even businesses, they are first considering whether the transactions are going to be at arm's length. Do you really need to check for anything else before you enter into transaction with your affiliates? So it has become a very, very important phenomena for businesses, even for domestic dealings. So there are certain regulations where you will have to comply with or the transfer pricing principles. But in some cases, even when the regulations don't require, the companies would want to do their dealings at a transfer price. This also has some part of legal bit into it, because when you're reviewing the agreements or or when you're going to councils for briefings, when you're fighting cases, it will have you to start thinking about the legal side to various arguments, to various concepts in transfer pricing. So this will also give you a holistic perspective of not just transfer pricing concepts, but overall business, legal, finance, etc. This is a field of specialization. So if you see a transfer pricing professional, they will always get a tag of being a specialist. Like we spoke earlier, transfer pricing has business knowledge. So transfer pricing and businesses go hand in hand. If you're doing transfer pricing, you must have a knowledge of business. You will have knowledge of the entire supply chain that goes into operate that transaction, the value chain. And from an information perspective, this really gives you a lot of depth in your understanding of the industry. For example, if you've priced a transaction in the pharma industry, it is very, very easy to work on the other pharma industry because you've understood their business and their supply chain. Transfer pricing is advice oriented and it has a litigation flavor. While we spoke about being able to leverage in the industry knowledge, but the issues, the transactions are all going to be different. You'll have a distributor arrangement somewhere you'll have a business fee structuring arrangement or a manufacturing arrangement. So every transaction, considering the nuances of the company, will make you learn something new. It's a very, very unique field to practice in. No two transactions are going to be same. They will have some difference in the fact pattern. You learn new things every day, advice on new angles. And there is no copy-paste advice generally. There is also a litigation flavor to transfer pricing. Like in normal tax, your transfer pricing assessment will also go through the TPO, the transfer pricing officer, the CIT, the ITAT, the High Court. So it also has a litigation flavor, just like it would have for a normal tax field. And because the transfer pricing field is transforming, is evolving every day, some country has implemented some law, there is some new thing going on somewhere, there are rulings. So you are alive in the profession. You know that you have to keep your mental self aware of the happenings around. You get to learn different things. It is progressive. There are a lot of things that you do in transfer pricing. We can do documentation, there's compliance, there are so many verticals that you do in. So every time that you do, being a professional, you're still being a student because you're learning new things. So this is what transfer pricing can offer us as professionals. What are the fields in which we can work on once we decide to take on transfer pricing as your career? What are the opportunities? What are the businesses that we can work on? So one are the consultancy firms. Developed countries like UK, USA, other developed countries, they really have a transfer pricing department. Even India, for that matter, today for Big Fours, they have a transfer pricing department. Even for smaller consultancy firms, they do recognize the importance of transfer pricing. For any due diligence exercises, for any small advices, transfer pricing is considered as one of the important sectors, and that's why you have transfer pricing departments in every country. Even the developing countries are now implementing transfer pricing principles. For example, for UAE has implemented transfer pricing from June 2023. So countries will evolve. The tax haven will start implementing pricing policies, and you're always going to get something new or the other. So in consultancy firms, typically you will have all of this work. For example, you will have compliance for certain section of clients. For certain section, you will have some advisory assignments. And this is actually Big Fours can be the one of the best places to start transfer pricing, because for a career to start, you'll have experience to large clients. they'll have various issues. You'll get to deal with a lot of transactions, a lot of nitty-gritties. So to start with and to generate an interest in transfer pricing, Big Four is probably one of the better places. One downside to working in bigger organizations is the work-life balance. You may get really overwhelmed with the workload and responsibilities. Plus, there can be a lot of complexities or some hierarchies, and when you're working in big that you can have is industry or corporate. There are large MNCs which these days employ or they have an international tax department to decide their pricing, to undertake various pricing jobs, and to get into agreements, etc. So they usually prefer hiring people at senior positions, and they don't really take somebody at junior because they need people who can take decisions for them, for their company and for their dealings. So there are not many entry-level jobs in industries or big MNCs. But the good part is that these MNCs have started recognizing the importance of transfer pricing, and large MNCs have a specific transfer pricing department to see their global documentation, to check whether their transactions are doing fine, to do the assessments, etc. Generally, they might outsource work to consultants also, but there are many companies which do in-house submissions, assessments, etc. The next is government bodies. There are transfer pricing tax authorities, the officers who conduct transfer pricing audits, adjustments, etc. So at that level also there is an opportunity. The growth might be slow there, and there might be bureaucracy, etc. But this is also a field where you can participate. Then there is an advanced pricing or mutual agreement procedure department where also you can participate. These are probably at a senior level, but these are just opportunities. If you start at a lower level from a consultancy, join the industry, you can always go back to these departments, the advanced pricing, the mutual agreement procedure departments, and these include dealings with multiple countries, because obviously when you sign an agreement, you have to consider the other entity in the organization also and the other jurisdictions. Some of the very rare opportunities can be in law firms. Some lawyers also have transfer pricing specialists to look after their disputes, like IT-80, for example. If the counsels are representing an IT-80 for a TP issue, they might need a transfer pricing expert. Then there is an opportunity with the OECD, some of the technology firms, for example, for a compliance form, they are now developing technology by which it will be automated. You just have to, the companies will just have to input their ledger, and that will be automated. So even technology firms now need a transfer pricing professional, because they really want to check if the solution that is developed is going to help the transfer pricing department as a whole. So that is where you will need transfer pricing expertise. And in the past few years, we've seen really significant increase in the need for automation. It has become very important to automate some of the basic routine transfer pricing stuff, because there is a lot more on the advisory front that transfer pricing will have to do. What are the skills that you will really require for transfer pricing? One is basic understanding of the transfer pricing regulations for the country that you're in. So for example, if you're in India, you'll have to understand Chapter 10, you'll have to be thorough with it. You'll have to know what are the dealings that will be covered, how is it benchmarked, what are comparables, etc. And you also need to have some basic knowledge of the overseas regulations. So for example, if an Indian company is dealing with USA, it is very, very essential that you have the knowledge of the US law. You may not have an in-depth knowledge, but a basic understanding is extremely important. We also need to know the international tax law. For example, there is DPAA, there are some percentages, some definitions which are given there. There is OECD guidelines for transfer pricing. Most countries function as per OECD guidelines, so you'll have to read that. There is a UNTP manual which is updated year on year, or probably in some period. We'll have to know that. There are certain guidances released by the OECD, for example, guidance on financial transaction, etc. A lot of it, which needs to be understood. So an understanding of international tax law is also very, very important. We need to know international trade and happenings. For example, when we were doing a transaction with Russia during this crisis, we had to understand what is happening and we needed to be aware of what is happening in Russia so that the prices can be accordingly decided. We can't merely go by the basic principle of comparability. We also need to see what are the jurisdictional challenges and how is really the pricing affected by all of these challenges. So all of that is also very, very important. For digital skills, of course, you need to have some basic Excel and PPT skills and some basic knowledge on Microsoft, but it is not really, really very necessary to have all of these knowledge. For digital especially, these basic knowledge we can anyway get on the job. So the main important is understanding of the regulation and the international happenings. Now that we've understood what all we will need for transfer pricing, its growing importance, some of the recent updates that have happened in transfer pricing is the BEPS Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, where there is a discussion on achieving tax certainty. There were certain jurisdictions which would be favored because their tax rate was less. So now what has been decided globally has to get every country at par so that there is no tax leakage and no country suffers. There is some discussion around digital taxation, of leaving a tax on the digital world because that is what is gaining prominence now. There are discussions of transfer pricing regulations in countries like UAE, Saudi, etc., which also shows that how updated this profession is going to be with the happenings. So for example, if we were to see the digital world, what is happening is we are now getting into the digital world. Transfer pricing has immediately updated itself to tax these transactions. It is not like we are talking about digital world and transfer pricing is still talking about how do you tax physical transactions. So this profession will always help you to stay very, very updated with the recent happenings, to get the required knowledge, to understand the international trade. So when you move out of India, you don't have to really restart your career from the scratch because the concepts are going to be recognized, your experience is going to be recognized. The regulations can be different, but nothing that will make you start from the scratch. So that's all that I had to talk about transfer pricing and about the opportunities. Any questions? They are welcome. Do we have any questions, Pankaj?
Yeah, Pankaj will be taking the Q&A based on the questions that we have received. If any of the participants are yet to post their questions, you all can post on the link that you all have received and registered from. We've received some questions. Pankaj, you can go ahead and take up the questions.
I think Pankaj is on mute.
Pankaj, you're on mute, Pankaj.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Deep Cheda, for the introduction. Mr. Abhinaya is telling that, can you please discuss the impact on the existing India TB regulations and consequently the career landscape for professionals?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Can you discuss the impact of the changing scenario which is there due to the transfer pricing? So its impact on the existing TP regulations in India, and consequently the career landscape for professionals. Any opportunities, more opportunities for them? I guess that is mostly covered by you in the professional opportunities which are available in the transfer pricing. So if you can throw some light.
Yes, sure. So the impact has already started. What is happening is when master file regulations were introduced, when CBCR was introduced, which showed how the global operations of the company are structured. So earlier, what used to happen in India, we had a local file which would only give details of transaction that the Indian entities have undertaken. But with the introduction of master file of CBCR, now India has actually recognized the importance of understanding the global supply chain to provide details of all entities in the group specific to the threshold, revenue threshold. And that's how India is also trying to kind of elevate itself in the global happenings. And for us, how important it is from documentation, like I mentioned, from mere compliance and documentation. Now we have moved to understanding the business as a whole. So for example, if you were to advise a client for a transaction from an India perspective, now it has become very, very essential that you also see the perspective of the other country, the other entity in the regulation, and then you advise for the transaction as a whole and not only for the entity as a whole. So India, USA, UK have all started implementing these changes to see as to how will the flip side entity work.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for the answer. There's one more question by Mr. Rohit Kamat. So he's telling that how do I get into the arm's length price? Like suppose there are sales transactions which the company has the information about the product costing and everything, but it's the information available with them. So I am running a business. Suppose I'm starting a business. So how do I get the information about the arm's length price? What is the right arm's length price for the particular product if I'm dealing with that? So how to practically approach the TP audit in such cases? That's his question.
Okay. So Rohit, very valid point. You're essentially asking how do we find these comparables when we work or when we undertake a transaction. So there are various softwares which are available, Provis, Capital Line, there is Orbis, which gives this information. For example, if you're a distributor and you want to see what margins you can earn for India, you can go to Provis. They have industry filters, they have financial filters, revenue, etc. You can apply those filters. You'll get a list of companies which are into similar businesses as yours. And then their financials are available in that software. In Provis and Capital Line, you also get the financials. So you take their financials, find out the margin, and your transaction margin should lie somewhere between that. So that is your comparable price. For comparable cup prices, there are a cup in the sense, the actual price of the transaction. When we spoke about databases, we spoke about margins. Now, if you want the actual price of an export of goods or import of goods, and that is a regulated price, you can always take that price, or there are details which are available in the customs data. And there are people who actually give access to this data. You can apply the HSN code filter and search for this data. You can also ask for quotations from companies. For example, for fixed assets, etc. If you have multiple quotations, that can be your arm's length. So there are various, it is not a one-stop solution. There are various ways, there are various companies who are providing data for royalty transactions. to determine the percentage of royalty, you have royalty stat. So there are softwares which will give you details of pricing and details of margins.
Okay. Thank you, Saili ma'am. I guess this would be a very helpful kind to go with. That's it. That's it from my side. These are all the relevant questions. Yes.
I think, Pankaj, there are a couple more questions on that page. Can you just refresh it?
Okay. That's it. So there is one question like, how is the opportunity in UAE taxation to start a TP career? Like, is there a good scope for transfer pricing in UAE?
Yes. So this is a very good question. UAE right now is very emerging for transfer pricing careers. What India was in 2001 when it introduced transfer pricing is what UAE today. UAE businesses will really need hand-holding in terms of getting there to price their dealings at arm's length, to understand what comparability is, to actually revisit all their pricing policies. Because UAE was really a favored tax jurisdiction till now, but with now there being an arm's length principle, it will be very exciting, as well as a lot of opportunities for transfer pricing in UAE. There are a lot of big firms, big fours or big firms who are tapping the UAE market right now to grab this opportunity. The businesses will actually have to revisit their entire supply chain in UAE. So very interesting opportunities in UAE.
Thank you, Saili ma'am. So last question I'll take up. Mr. Now is asking, he's a practicing chartered accountant. So how do he generate scope in transfer pricing while practicing? Like, what are the first few steps which he should take to start a practice in transfer pricing?
Okay. So to start with, what can be done is, you have some set of clients, right? You can check if they have international dealings, check with the client of how they are pricing the international dealings, whether they need any help with compliance or with documentation. Check if their pricing has been set right, whether they have the requisite documents in place, so that if tomorrow there is a question by the tax authorities, can we really defend our position, or does the position need any change? If there are any transactions or any charges, for example, charges for IT support or management support, which the client has not charged to its associated enterprise or to its related party, whether there needs to be such transaction which needs to be established, or whether there can be questions raised for free of cost services or goods. So this is the starting point, that you start a dialogue with the client or connect with the client in terms of what you can offer for transfer pricing. And eventually there can be documentation, advisory, and so on and so forth. Then there is no limit for it.
Thank you so much. There's one more question which has come up from Ashima Verma. She's currently working in MNC, so she wants to switch for transfer pricing opportunity. So will you advise her, like, is there any scope for her to get a good breakthrough in transfer pricing?
Definitely. I mean, there is no challenge for anybody to shift to transfer pricing, and because she is in an MNC currently, I'm sure she would be having some knowledge about businesses, of how it functions. So getting into transfer pricing is going to be relatively simpler, because it requires business understanding. So she can always probably start with consultancy firm to understand different types of transactions, types of issues. If not consultancy, if consultancy is going to be a challenge in terms of work life or in terms of managing the workload, for in the own MNC, she can try and check for the international tax department. She can check for transfer pricing matters and take an internal shift. So shifting to transfer pricing, if you have been in MNC, is never going to be a problem as such.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ma'am, there's one more question, which is a very like, I don't think so. It's there is any age to start anything, but still, let me take up this question. Someone is asking, can a CA start TP career at the age of 47?
At the age of
47.
Definitely, I think, like I said, transfer pricing earlier, when I joined in 2012, was also a little limited to documentation or compliance. But now is the time when transfer pricing is really evolving. There are so many things that everybody is learning new. Even when we would practice transfer pricing since 20 years, but there are so many things like BEPS Pillar 1, Pillar 2, the tax certainty bit, which is new and which everybody is learning right now because it has come just a year back. So starting with that right now is never going to be an issue. And that's the best part, right? Because it is evolving. There is nothing like you've gained expertise and now it's done. There is nothing like that. You can always start learning at whatever time you started. So I don't think that that's going to be any challenge.
Right. They say age is just a number. So
Yes, definitely.
thank you. Saili ma'am, one question I have, like, how was your journey for transfer pricing? Like, can you explain us how you started and what were the breakthroughs which you got? What were the opportunities which gave you the confidence that, yes, I want to do this. I will take up this and I will take up more challenges. This field never discourages me. So what was your thought process and what was your attitude so that, someone who's very scared and they don't know how to do it, they will get motivated with your journey?
Okay, that's a big responsibility, right? So when I started, I was in an articleship firm which would do everything from audit, from tax and everything. Luckily, I got an opportunity to do transfer pricing for a big pharma company. And that's when I realized that the extent that the depth that you get into for transfer pricing assignments, that is what really, really excited me. So for 3 years, I majorly did some transfer pricing assignments for pharma companies. Luckily, again, got into a big four where worked on various assignments. There was one business restructuring assignment which we did. We interacted with authorities from Singapore, from Canada, from USA, and trust me, it is very interesting to really interact with so many stakeholders from the business side, from the tax authority side, as well as internally. So that's when once I joined PwC, I had decided that this is going to be where I would want to go and where I will end my career, wherever I will. So the business restructuring assignments, then now particularly it has become very interesting because you can see, like I was emphasizing during the session also, there is something or the other coming up every day. It is not settling. It is really not settling, no matter how much people say that it is leading to more disputes or more complications. But the fact of the matter is it is evolving. It is evolving with businesses. It is evolving with time. And it's really running parallel to what the situation demands, right? It is not stagnant. So that's why it is really something which keeps on exciting me every day when I come to work to see what is the new thing that is going to come. And yeah, that's about it. So if you really like learning new things, if you're ready to be updated and ready to keep yourself learning, unlearning every day, then I think it is going to be very interesting for your career.
Nice answer, ma'am. Thank you. So you must have gone through many tax laws of different countries, right?
Yes.
So how do you find the Indian tax laws as compared to those different countries like Singapore, UK?
So India, like in the whole scenario, it's still developing, right? And it is trying its best to develop, to get certainty and to be competitive with the other tax laws. So even if you see the tax rates, India has tried its best to be competitive in terms of tax rates. So similarly, it is for transfer pricing. One example that I can remember is there was a 40A2B transfer pricing coverage earlier. 40A2B, as in the domestic expense transactions, were covered in transfer pricing. That is the change that India got, but soon it realized that this is not working because this is not the intention. There is not going to be any tax leakage in these transactions. Two domestic entities, they're having the same tax rate, doesn't really matter. So they deleted that provision and now it's no more applicable. So India is trying its best to be there, to be competitive with all the countries and to really develop itself. While US, Singapore, etc., they are at a much advanced level, but India is getting there slowly and steadily. We are also getting resources for the advanced pricing agreement or the MAP department. And one very notable thing is that the tax authorities have evolved. So when we would see 8 years back, the TPOs, they would the kind of questions that they would ask us and the kind of understanding that they have today, it's very, very evolved. So India will get there. It is getting there, and it is trying its best to get there and to be competitive. So even a career in India is going to be equally fruitful like anywhere overseas.
Which country is your favorite? Which tax laws, is attracting you that this is a most preferable country which I want to deal with the tax laws?
There is nothing like that. Honestly, India itself has a lot of complexities and it has its own upsides and downsides. If I were to see US, it's much advanced, but then when I see the tax authorities there, they are really, really very difficult to handle, if I may say that. So nothing as a preference or anything. It's okay. I mean, thankfully for transfer pricing, we deal with all countries, so it's good for us.
Thank you for your kind answers. So there's one question from Sneha.
Yes.
She's a sole proprietor starting and pursued DIIT, like direct indirect taxes maybe. She has done some basic documentation with regards to transfer pricing, but she's unable to understand if it's possible to reach out to clients as proprietor with a small CA practice. So how does she represent herself, like being you can say she just started practicing and it's a very small firm. So how do we encourage her to, yes, you can go forward and approach your clients?
So because without the risk of sounding repetitive, because this field is so close to business, it is in fact easier to approach clients. Once you understand your client, you're gonna know what arrangements they are getting into. You know the subject. You can easily communicate with them as to, if you have this arrangement, what are the holistic risks that this arrangement will give you. For example, if you have a transaction with Singapore, then these are the things that you need to take care. So now the client is introduced on TP, the client knows these are the services or these are the pricing that I need to undertake. And then the conversation starts. And then you have documentation, you have advisory, you can always set up some new transaction. There are a lot of opportunities there. So because it is related and it is closer to business, it's very easy to have that conversation with the client and to just start that dialogue of how do you really help in transfer pricing. I hope that answers the question.
Pankaj, you are on mute. Pankaj, you are on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
So there's one more question from Mr. V. Subramani Iyer. Can you explain the future of transfer pricing regime, given the fact that countries are now implementing mandatory taxation at 15 to 20% of MNCs to control the BPS? So, how do you address this? And what is the future for transfer pricing in such scenarios?
So, so even if there is a certain tax rate that the countries are introducing, that certain rate is always going to be different across jurisdictions. There will always be a question on evaluation of profits in each jurisdiction, right? Even if there is a 15% rate, there is a 17% rate, the jurisdiction will still want to know what is the correct profit that you are keeping in that jurisdiction. And for that, understanding the functions, uh, the assets, the risk that each entity for the jurisdiction is taking is going to be important. So it's nothing like once these certain tax rates or these BEPS is introduced, there's going to be any stagnancy in transfer pricing. In fact, if we see the BEPS pillar 2 phenomena is itself based on a transfer pricing analysis. So despite of the fact that there's going to be certainty in the tax rate, there is still going to be a requirement to price jurisdictional transactions correctly. And that's where transfer pricing will always stay relevant.
Styli, I have one personal question,
Yes.
not related to transfer pricing, but I'm sure most of our participants will be interested in. You shared your journey where you started from I would say, a mid-sized firm where you did everything, and you went to a big four, and now you are in a boutique
Yes.
advisory firm. So,
Yes.
which one do you think should a young chartered accountant go for when they're going in for articleship, or someone who's fresh out of the box as a CA, right? Where do you think has been an extreme, learning phase? Ki, if as a fresher I were to go out today, this is the type of firm that probably I would join where I could learn more.
So personally, I'm keeping my love for transfer pricing aside. Personally, for articleship, one should always go to a mid-sized firm which will offer you to do everything, because that is where the time when you're deciding what you like. So if I was not in a mid-sized firm, probably if I was in a departmentalized firm where I was doing only audit or only direct tax, I would never be exposed to transfer pricing, which has eventually become my career. And then as you move on, once you've probably decided that this is what interests me, a 2-3 year experience of Big Four is any time recommended, because Big Four teaches you dealings with some of the big clients. It grills you literally because of the workload, because of the people out there. It makes you street smart. It will teach you a lot of things apart from technical. And that is my personal experience. My fresher journey in PwC has really been helpful to my technicals and to the person that I am today. So when you do this Big Four experience, then you have the world, right, to explore as to what you want to do, whether you want to get a work for an MNC where you will work for their specific department, understand that industry, or then you want to still continue in consultancy. So that's how I moved my career.
Thank you. I think that was a very succinct answer, and young CAs can definitely learn, like, take away and understand from your experience. And I think I will like to invite Pankaj Ahuja for a very well-deserved vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deep Cheda. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Saili Timburkar, madam. A great session. I guess the questions were too many, but you answered in a very kindful way. I guess all the questions were answered so beautifully where they can get clarity about whether they should go for this or not. And obviously, they must have been motivated with your career, how you have told us how you started with the articleship, and now you're working with Big Four. So how you have climbed the stairs and you are at the top now. So thank you for the encouragement. And during the session, you also mentioned about great professional opportunities which are available with the government authorities, law firms, CA firms. So this career is not limited to a particular organization. Even the government has to consult a CP consultant where they can get good advisory about the transaction which they are entering into with different countries. So definitely this is a very great career if someone wants to go for it. Even a small practicing CA and who has just started with like when they have a good first knowledge, like they have done some articleship experience with the CA firm where they have good experience about transfer pricing, they can definitely go ahead with this. So only thing which are required, like the skills which you shared about the international tax laws, if they are aware about digital skills, international trade economics, and transfer pricing regulation. That's the skills required. So thank you for the very informative session. I guess everyone is so motivated to go for the transfer pricing and start their career. So once again, thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. And I hope even if one or two persons are really motivated and they really decide to take up transfer pricing, it will be helpful. And this is a really good program to enlighten and to encourage people to decide what they want. I'm really thankful to ICI for having this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's been a pleasure to have you, Saili. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
And
now,
with that, Pankaj, sorry.
now CA Parsha will pick up, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Deep. So how many of you here have heard that CAs are only fit for audit or tax profiles? Or, when we wish, many of might be wishing to start or lead some of the big companies in the managerial roles. So, but we are, we don't have the proper knowledge or the guidance, or we have a number of questions surrounding it. How do we start? Where do we start? How do we take care of it? So who other than a person who has been in this field for last 8 years, who is a chartered accountant himself and has been in the position of a general manager at cast 24, and also has worked with Tata Sky, Idea Cellular, and Vodafone India. So I would like to call upon our eminent speaker for the next session, Mr. Per Cheda.
Hi. Thanks, Parth, for that introduction. Thank you, Deep and Pankaj for, and especially Saili for enlightening us with transfer pricing. And it was really informative for me also. At one point in time, I was like, itna sara complexity, khali itne mein. So it is like a very super niche and, kind of a super specialized kind of a version of a chartered accountant to have. Like chartered accountants can do anything, but yes, to do transfer pricing, I am sure matlab, that skill set would be, developed over those years only, which you have already gone through. So my topic here for all the young chartered accountants today is like the career prospects in business finance. So I would like to start my presentation now. It's not a presentation actually, but it's more of, like what are the opportunities and how do we begin with, right? For doing anything in life. So here it goes. Is my screen visible?
Yes, visible now.
Visible. Okay. So yeah, watching your leg before you take your next step is what is really, for any profession that you want to choose, right? After being a CA, like we'll discuss what are all options that we have, but this is the starting point. You should know what you like, you should know what you are good at, and you should know what kind of an environment you have around you, right? Everybody has different kinds of environments around them and different kinds of interactions with those environments. So it is very, very important. Like if I am a chartered accountant today, but I don't like audit, like I have done 3 years of audit, but I hate audit to the core. It is something which I don't want to do. That is my starting point. Okay, I don't want to do audit, but suppose I like audits really very much, then obviously I should pursue my career in that. So finding out what you like, what you are good at, and what would, your environment would support you. Those three things, if you figured it out, then obviously what you all need is a menu card. Okay, I know what I want, I know what I'm good at, I know what kind of environment will support me. Now, what options do I have? What are the options which are available for me in the field after becoming a CA, and as a young CA, what all I can take, right? So what after CA, right? I've completed my CA. What should I do next? Should I do studies? Should I do work? Should I, go abroad? Should I do anything else? Should I start my business? So there are so many options available, right? And you need to decide what after CA. So I'll take you through first what are the study options that you have after CA, and then what are the avenues that you have as a chartered accountant to work in, right? So if you are a CA, right, now what all can be done after CA? So CA is like your core, right? It is like the base degree. You know each and everything out of those modules that you have gone through, right? And believe me, it is one of the most rigorous. We'll all accept that distant learning coupled with so many challenges, so not so many good facilities available. So it is one of the most rigorous courses, and yet we have that financial skill set, we have that financial acumen, that bent of mind, that we are able to clear CA, right? It is not easy task to clear a CA in its own, right? So now you have become CA, so okay, now I can at least face whatever else comes my way, right? Now on top of that CA, you need like an icing, right? You can either have CFA, or you can have ACCA, or you can do CS or CMA, CPA, MBA. There's so many options available. But yes, 4 years of CA is like your mental and your bent of mind is now towards the financial domain, right? कि भाई अब finance करेंगे, अब business करेंगे, जो भी करेंगे, it would be something related to finance, right? Finance will have obviously a bigger aspect in your mind as compared to say a marketing or sales or HR or any other profession, right? Any other field. So what are the study options? So few of the study options that you have after CA are CFA. So CFA is a very good option if you want to join, investment banking world, right? If you want to become a portfolio manager, or you want to manage funds, or you want to do investment banking, you want to have a equity research kind of a work life. If those things excite you, then obviously having CA plus a CFA will give you an edge, right? Not just in India, but even you have opportunities to work abroad, right? Just a moment, 1 second. There's someone at 1 second for the glitch. Yeah, very sorry for that. Yeah, so what you can do is, we were discussing CA plus CFA. So you can do portfolio management, investment banking, equity research, and the kind of employment that you would get is usually in mutual funds, asset management companies, banks, those kind of entities. So CA plus CFA is a very good combination if you want to explore the investment banking and other those jargon wale, elite kind of a, like this is like the top, like in terms of earning, right? Ki bhai, Now CA plus CFA managing say 10,000 crores, 20,000 crores for a AUM once you are at the peak of your career, right? So those kind of things, if they motivate you, those kind of numbers, if they motivate you, then definitely CA CFA is a no-brainer for you. You need to go towards CA plus CFA, right? Then if you think, I don't want to go into CA CFA, I want to go into regular accounting, most of my skill sets are towards managing the books, making the books, then you can do ACCA. It is again added advantage. You get knowledge about UK GAAP, IFRS, international laws of accounting. So world, like Saili just said, is evolving, right? And ACCA helps us to, understand what are the accounting requirements, right, in the global world. What are the kind of disclosures which are required for Indian companies who want to list on foreign basically foreign bourses, right? So if that kind of things excite you, right, and you want to create your niche in that field, you want to become, say, a CFO in life, right? So then you should take ACCA. If you want to handle CA plus CS for an organization, like you want to manage like the entire finance end to end, like, so then CS along with the CA can become a very good combination for you. Like CA, you can't practice obviously both the things simultaneously, but obviously it gives you an edge because you love CA, you like laws. So it's like, then that is like the best combo to have, right? If you want to find yourself like in your career, if you want to build your career, say, yeah, I want to become a CFO of a multinational company, right? Or I want to become, say, have my own practice and I want to give those kind of services to a new startup. Like startups will never have a department of company secretary, or they'll never have a department of finance. They would like to focus on their core, right? But then you can come in and say, okay, I have those skill sets which are required and I can help you grow, right? While you grow your main business, I can handle these things for you. So CA plus CS will help you over there, right? So those kind of opportunities are available. You can also do certified management account. Like what is CMA? It is like you evaluate the books, you understand like what are the costs, you do the costing. So basically anything related to product pricing, product, determining the selling price, those kind of decisions, if you like, right? Then CMA is the CA plus CMA is the best fit for you. Like you should go for a CMA. Other than that, if you think, you want to work on, US GAAPs, IFRS reporting, then you can also do CPA. CPA like gives you an access to the entire US market, right? It is widely accepted. And if you go in US and want to practice over there, then obviously help Indian companies, expand in US, then obviously CA plus CPA will give you a pole position and like you would be in a very comfortable position to pitch clients, right? So that will be helpful. Apart from CPA, like if you want to do business in life, right? If you want to manage businesses and you want to become an entrepreneur in life, then CA plus MBA is the best combination you can ever have, right? Because MBA programs gravitate you towards group discussions and case studies, analysis, presentations. So those soft skills which are required to manage a business, provided with the business acumen which CA will give you to make profits, to and to scale businesses, those that is like a perfect fit then for you. So these are broad study options and widely accepted options which you have in front of you after doing CA, and all of them require 1 or 2 years at the max. Like if you have invested 4 years of your life in CA, 5 years, whatever time you have invested, most recommended that is like your base degree, right? Every other guy is either a CA, doctor, or an engineer, but there will be very few who would have that specialization, right? Or a combination of further studies like CA plus CS, CA plus CPA. So we had done one survey wherein like 80% of the chartered accountants don't do anything after doing chartered accounting. Like they think that they have reached the pinnacle of their studying and then they don't take up anything else. But that is not what you should as a young chartered accountant do. In my opinion, you should always go for CA plus any one of these degrees which are suiting you, right? If you want to do practice, or if you want to, develop yourself as you want to manage your family business, still it is advisable that you study further also, right? Because managing businesses requires those skill sets which CA will not, CA will give you, but if you had those other skill sets which MBA or CPAs, CFA teaches, then it would be like you can scale up from 1 to 100 very quickly rather than taking a longer journey, right? Now, having said that, these are all the study options that we have. What about career options, right? As a young chartered accountant, what all can I do, right? So financial degree that you have obviously is mostly one of the most widely recognized degree that one can have in India, right? If you are a CA, people will respect you, right? They will say ki haan bhai, he has proven himself, right? So you have a start, right, to do, but that start is just not enough, right? What all options you have after becoming a CA is very much important. So I am presenting to you a menu card of what all you can do, right? What are the career opportunities which we have in front of us? And these are all broad outlines. Like there will be many niche categories which we already, have, like transfer pricing and others. But these are the broad aspects, right? You can start your own practice and do consulting, right? This is one of the most widely done by majority of the CAs. Second is you can do teaching. Teaching is also a fairly complex job for at least CA students. Like to teach CA students, it requires like a lot of, effort, because it's not that easy a course to teach, right? It's not like 1 + 1 is 2, right? We all know CA is much more rigorous and it's very difficult to teach CA, right? Third is majority of the CAs who are into own practice also are into stock market, because financial statements of companies come very easily to CA, right? So they know which scripts will go up, will go down. They can do technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and they can understand the risks, right, which are involved. So majority of the CAs who do own practice also do stock market, right? Again, a very lucrative option, provided you know how to hedge your own risk, provided you know how to take calculated risk, provided you know what are happening in the micro and macro environments around you, right? For this, if you have a family-owned business, then you can start managing that, right? I've seen numerous friends who have joined their family businesses from their fathers and, have taken it to a higher trajectory. So that is again a very lucrative option after becoming a CA, right? Then obviously where majority of people after doing a CA they go to either a CA firm, big, or they want an opportunity in industry, right? So again, in industry and Big Four, there are various opportunities which are available. Like you can make your career in accounts, you can make your career in transaction advisory, you can make your career in tax advisory, you can do statutory audits under different applicable statutes, you can do internal audits, tax audits, forensic audits, you can manage treasury, you can, involve yourself in bookkeeping, become a finance controller, right? And you can also do capital structuring, MIS, stuff like that. So options which are available in a job are more than what can be, thought of. You think something is not going good in a company and you just take charge and try to turn it around, right? It becomes a full-time activity, because that's how businesses value a CA, right? If you are doing a job or if you are in a firm, then that what you bring to table, what value add do you do for your clients or for your company is what matters the most, right? So you can take up a job, and otherwise, if you are not interested in that, also you can join, probably assist a CFO or a CAO in the overall strategy of business, right? See what market competitors are doing, see what others are in the industry doing, how is industry evolving, what are the next 5-year plans, 10-year plans for the country, basis their development plan. So you can then take up a role in BI, right? Like a business intelligence for your CEO and CFO to decide where the company should be headed, how it should be headed, what all are the risks involved. So it's a very big domain again, and very niche again. you can join startups. Like if you have that enterprising spirit, if you think, boss, I want to, kill it. I want to, turn around things. I want to turn around loss-making units into profitable units. Then startups is the place to be, right? You can add tremendous value to startups through your business acumen as well as financial acumen. You can become a great program manager, and you can drive really strategic programs which can help you, which can help these startup to scale and turn profitable. Then obviously we have banks, which takes away 30-40% of all the CAs, right, into different profiles. Again, either into treasury or project finance or debt syndication, right? You can work on either side of the table, either right with the company or with the bank, because every company needs finance, and for finance, banks are utmost necessary, right? So from SBI to Stanley, there are a lot of options available. We have 30 plus banks, so, and all financial behemoths. So again, banks are there, mutual funds are there. Then you have asset management, asset reconstruction companies. So all those places also deploy CAs in big. There's a huge demand, right? Then if you have done your MBA, then you have, and you are a CA plus MBA, then obviously investment banking, both back office, front office comes naturally. Private equity, venture capitals, asset management, equity, bonds, derivatives, commodities, you name it, and you have it, right? So CA plus MBA is like the success criteria for anyone who wants to be in this space, right? And then obviously there are other domains like SAP teams, law firms, CS firms, management consulting firms, IT firms, economics like RBI or IMF or UN. They also deploy CAs, and they look forward to their advisory. They look forward to how we can do things better. So these are the broad options which we can do after becoming a CA. And it is very important for us to decide, okay, what I want to do, right? So if I have to tell you, okay, what excites you, what motivates you? If money is your motivation, then what kind of money is your motivation, right? Money is motivation to everyone. So some people prefer like, I want money for myself. Some persons prefer like, I want to have a social status saying I manage 10,000 crores of books, right, of a mutual fund. So it can vary from person to person. So knowing what you want, knowing where you want to be in life, knowing what is your limit, right? Where do you want to limit yourself in life, right? Because profession at the end of the day is part of your life, right? So what you want to become, right, becomes like a very big contributor to where you are and what option you choose, right? So I'll also tell you what are the costs involved. Okay, if you want to do an MBA from say IIMs, then it costs you anywhere between 20 to 30 lakhs, depending on the IIM that you enroll into. If you go abroad and do masters, it takes 60-70 lakhs, right? But that journey, then your start pay grade and things like that, then it starts at a very different level from what a CS fresher can get, right? So invest in yourself, think what kind of environment supports you, think what kind of goals you have in your life, where you want to enter into. And there are enough and more options which are available, right? CAs are the most sought after people. We can do anything, right? Like I am running a program, you can also run a program, doesn't matter. You can make your own startup. Like the sky is the limit, provided you know what you want to achieve in life, right? So these are the options which are generally available. And business finance is not limited only to companies, right? Businesses can be internal, can be external, right? You can work for a business, you can have your own business, and you can consult a business. So business finance as a term and a topic has immense potential even from ages, right? So it is going to remain. It is not that financial advisor will not be required. It is not that financial consultant will not be required. And consulting is required at all stages, right? Whether be it at individual household stage, or be it at company stage, or at global stage, right? So both these things are inseparable. And wherever there is business, there will be finance. So your demand is going to be there. Your expertise is going to be required. And if you keep learning, if you start, adapting yourself to new ways of things which are happening, right? And if you become proficient in that, understand the risks involved, understand the trade-offs, I think you would figure out where you want to be. So with that, I would like to, keep it very crisp and short and give more time for Q&A, so that, if you have anything, you can feel free to ask me.
Thank you, Parv, for the various options that you have covered in your short session. One of the starting questions that we have received. Before I start, I would like to request all the participants to just quickly start posting your queries on the portal that we have, so that we can keep this flow going. Having said that, Parv, the first question we have is from Vipul Jain from Mumbai. He's asking, what are the new age technologies that we are using for business finance roles?
Yes. So new age technologies have, if I have to name you a few, we have Hyperion, we have BIs, and we have Cyberplast, right? So and every software, every technology has its own, super niche kind of a role, right? So Hyperion is used to do consolidation of all the branches, right? For example, for SBI, right? SBI uses Hyperion to manage 137,000 branches, right? So that each and every line item of a financial statement, each and every ledger is mapped and grouped properly, right? At the bank level. There are many and more customized internal softwares also, which firms like TCS, Infosys, and SAPs and Oracles of the world make to make the lives of accountants easier, right? So there are a lot of customized ERPs which organizations prefer and build themselves, right, to encompass the entire business into one software. So the limit is endless. Like, it depends on you which one you try your hands on to, and which one is your preferred choice of working. So there are enough and more options, and you can also start developing those. Like, there is one friend of mine who was into articleship, and he realized कि यार उसको एक ही काम दिया जाता था, and that was bank reconciliation, right? And bank reconciliation was itself such a big tedious topic, but he found an interesting idea into it. He made a software which can help you which can help you understand on real-time basis the confirmation between a bank and the business, right? So he made that software, and he integrated that software with both bank as well as the company that he was working with. And now he's kind of expanding it and scaling it to other orgs, right? So even small things in life, right, which you think are a pain point, don't treat them as a pain point. Just think what opportunity comes out of it, and how technology can help you, how you can, with the help of technology, solve for that problem, right? And make it big for yourself. So there will be so many advancements in technology which will keep coming. But if you know the right people to contact and the right framework to make, then that is your success mantra for that. And there's like no one specific business finance software as such. It's like a mad world, right? It's a big world. So there are immense and more on the platter.
Okay. Thank you for an elaborate answer on that. We have another question from Niranjan Oza, again from Mumbai. He asks, how can one become a social entrepreneur by pursuing business finance as his chosen field?
So, okay, if you want to become a social entrepreneur, and you want to simultaneously pursue a career in business finance, it can be done, right? So business finance has so many domains, right? So you can be a consultant, or you can be, say, working in a job 9 to 5, and in the rest of your time you can be a social entrepreneur. You can do what things motivate you, right? You can try to bring in the change that you want to see in the society on those hours. Within the framework of doing business finance as a career option, it is up to you to decide how much time and effort you put into that business finance role that you are in, right? And accordingly, how you can cull out your time to change the world or society or social change that you want to drive. It goes like that. So in business finance, it's not like it's for you to decide ultimately ki how you manage to cross both the things.
So from what I understand is basically what we're trying to say is business finance. There used to be this traditional thinking कि यार अगर मैं किसी company में जा रहा हूँ, I will probably be making controlling the entries that are being passed there, or responsible for the annual compliance, balance sheet, P&L या auditors की query solve करना. Now what we are seeing in this world, the role of chartered accountants in terms of finance is not only limited to that, but there is a big scope. Is that right? Would you like to elaborate on that?
No, so okay. See, if you are in business finance, then you are there to maximize your profits for your business, right? Obviously, there are mandates that you have to spend a necessary portion on certain social upliftment programs and corporate social governance into those kind of issues and stuff like that. And obviously, you would have those kind of you would be deciding those budgets, right, for your company if you are controlling them. So if you want to do that simultaneously, obviously you can also put your recommendations to your management saying, okay, this is one field wherein I want to drive it. But obviously, if a company is hiring you into business finance for the core business finance role, right, as a if an org is taking you, say, as a manager or a senior manager or an assistant manager, especially into business finance role, then it would expect you to support the business, right, from finance perspective, because business people would know how to sell. They would not know how to what is the impact of the sale, whether that sale is profitable, not profitable, what is the correct price of the sale which it should have been. So company would expect more from that perspective if they are hiring you for a business finance role as such, right? And if they are hiring you for a reporting role, again it comes into the ambit of business finance only, then you are reporting as per the regulated statutes and as per the guidance. So obviously social what I feel is, if you want to bring any social change, then obviously you have one avenue of those corporate social funds that you have. Secondly, at personal level, whatever change you want to drive, you can drive in your own individual capacity.
Okay. We have another question from Monica Jain from Firozabad. Opportunities if I pursue CFA now after being in practice for 10 years in the service sector.
10 years in the service sector.
I think what she's asking is she's in practice since 10 years.
Yeah.
If she's to pursue CFA now, what are the opportunities that she might get or that she could look forward to?
Exactly. So, yeah. So, if you study to choose CFA, okay, forget about giving exams and clearing it. If you study the material as such, you would get further insights into how to manage portfolios, what do investment bankers do, right? How derivatives work, how calls, puts, options are traded, and those kind of stuff. So there are financial products which are altogether different from what you have advised your clients. I don't know, like if in service if you have done IDT, DT or audits for your clients for 10 years, and if you want to give them like these kind of solutions, I don't know really what clients or what again environment is supporting you. But if you feel your clients need this, right, they need your advisory for, say, managing their own funds, or say for managing their own portfolios, or say for managing their investments of the companies or the clients that you have. So if there is a need in your existing ecosystem, then definitely you should learn more from the course as such. Or else if you want to settle abroad, you feel ki nahi yaar, practice is something which is not working out for me, I want to start it from scratch, then you can obviously take up CFA again, start preparing yourself for it, do practice simultaneously so that your regular source of income keeps coming. And then after clearing your exams, maybe find an alternative somewhere in US, Canada or Europe, or then the world welcomes you, right, in those domains. So you can find yourself a job in boutique firms in those countries wherein CA plus CFA is valued very highly. So then you can offer your skills over there. But okay, it would be like a starting afresh kind of a journey. And hence my recommendation to all the new chartered accountants or young chartered accountants, whatever you start, especially as far as studies is concerned, start it early, right? As much early as you can, right? If you think you have cleared CA 2 years ago and have not done anything in these 2 years, do start it today, if not tomorrow, right? So that's what it is.
So much, how much does practical experience help in these things, right? Like there is a popular theory that आपको अगर MBA करना है तो पहले आप किधर पहले काम कर लो 1-2 साल तो then MBA becomes more useful for you.
Yeah.
Right? So is that equally true for courses like CFA or
Got it. So Deep, thanks for bringing that question on the table. CFA as a course again is more or less like a CA as a course, right? There is no classroom training. There is no sessions. It's just that you understand the material, you read the material, you appear for an exam, you clear it, and you are conferred a degree, right? But obviously there is a lot behind those books that you get, right? And you can't deny the fact that whatever you have gained, it is not very much easily available and understood by everyone else, right? So doing a CA CFA and settling abroad is an easier option. Doing a CA and an MBA from Indian IIMs or say Jamnalal Bajaj or Narsi Monjis of the world, they help you in Indian companies, Indian MNCs, right? And doing MBA from outside, like say Oxford, Harvard, in some different domain, will attract you to those countries, right? So depends on you where you want to see yourself again, right? What suits you, what you like, what you are good at. If you think yes, options is something I want to really make money out of, and everything, like sky is the limit. Like you can make money in each and every field. There is a lot of scope in each and every field. You can reach to that journey. It's not that only investment bankers can earn say 2 crores, 5 crores a year, or say entrepreneurs don't earn 50 crores, 100 crores a year. It depends on you, right? Where you see your potential at. So, and if you're ready to start afresh and make that dent, obviously yes. Again, depend, like if you're totally, like if the person who has posed this question is totally fed up of practice and wants to switch altogether to a job, then it makes sense. Okay, you study and settle abroad and you make a decent living, because any which ways the standard of living there is very high and the compensation packages are also very high as compared to India, right?
Fair enough. Thank you, Parv. I think we don't have any more questions for you. You've covered the topic so elaborately. I think it's been delivered to people very succinctly, and I'm sure they have a lot to ponder upon, and especially the young chartered accountants who are just out of the box and would एक वो age होता है 22-23 साल का, when you come out and you don't know what happens around in the world. That time we have a lot of time on our hands, but we don't have a lot of experience.
Exactly.
And so that is where people of young age with experience like yourself, spending time and giving your insights, I'm definitely sure it has helped a lot of young members who have participated today. And on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Women and Young Members Excellence Committee, I thank you very much for such an elaborate coverage and giving us your valuable time and giving your insights for the young members. On behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, thank you very much. And having said that, on behalf of the Institute and the committee and all the coordinators present today, thanks to all the participants as well who have spent time with us today. We have had a attendance of I think more than 800 members today, from across, from Srinagar to Pondicherry and from Kolkata to Mumbai. So congratulations to both of you and all the participants today. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll end today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for giving this opportunity, and thank you for ICI to conduct these sessions.
We are glad to have you both, and we are sure we'll have you all again very soon in the future. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sai.
Thank you, Parvan.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Thank
Parvan.
you so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.